Most men don't find out their partner is cheating. They find out after it's already over. Today, we'll talk about 6 signs your partner might be cheating, so pay attention. Let's start with the first sign, phone behavior, but not the way you think. The belief most men carry is simple. If she's guarding her phone, something is wrong. And maybe. But that single observation tells you almost nothing on its own. Plenty of people are naturally protective of their phones for completely innocent reasons. Privacy by itself is not a red flag. Here is what the actual signal is. The shift, the departure from whatever was previously normal. Someone who left their phone on the kitchen counter every night without a second thought for 2 years. Who never reacted when you reached past it. Who never repositioned it when you sat down nearby. And who now carries it to every room, flips it face down when you enter, angles the screen away mid-sentence. That gap. That specific departure from established behavior. That is your data point. From now on, I want you to stop asking yourself, is she being secretive? And replace it with one better question. Is she more secretive than she was 6 months ago? The comparison is the only version of the question that gives you real information. Here is what the contrast looks like in practice. The wrong read. Your partner reaches across the counter to retrieve her phone the moment you walk toward it. You register it, you feel something, and then you talk yourself down because you do not want to be that guy. You say nothing. The right read, same exact moment, except this time you recognize it as a clean departure from 2 years of opposite behavior. She never used to do this. Now she does it every time. You say nothing out loud, but you log it. You watch for repetition. What she is thinking in that moment is uncomplicated. He did not notice. That assumption that you are not paying attention is the precise thing that allows the behavior to continue and escalate. She is not being careful because she believes you are watching. She is being careful because she is confident you are not. That is sign 1, and it almost never arrives alone, because the second sign shows up alongside it, and this one is the one men most consistently talk themselves out of. This brings us to emotional withdrawal, and this is the sign that gets misread more than any other, because it comes preloaded with 100 innocent explanations. She seems distant. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel like pulling something heavy. The warmth that used to be automatic now has to be coaxed out. You bring it up gently. She says, work has been relentless. She is drained. She just needs some time. And you accept that because it sounds reasonable, because you want it to be true, and because the alternative requires you to sit with something uncomfortable. Here is what I need you to understand about the difference between stress and guilt. Genuine stress, real pressure, real weight, real exhaustion, pulls people toward comfort, toward the people and the environments that feel safe. Guilt creates distance from the specific person the guilt is connected to. So, the one question I want you to ask yourself is this. Is she withdrawing from everything equally? Or is she specifically less present with you while appearing completely normal everywhere else? That single distinction cuts through every explanation she could offer. The wrong read sounds like this. You say, you have been really far away lately. Is everything okay? She says, I am just worn out. There is so much happening at work right now. You say, yeah, totally. I get it. Take your time. You accept it. You move forward. The right read is the same exchange, except you already noticed that 1 hour before that conversation, she spent 40 minutes on a call, laughing without any effort, fully present, completely at ease. She was not too tired then. She saves the distance specifically for the moments when it is just you. Now here is something worth understanding about what is happening on her side. The withdrawal is not always a deliberate strategy. There is a consistent behavioral pattern where guilt creates an involuntary need for space from the person it is directed at. She may not be consciously thinking, I need to create distance to maintain cover. She may simply be unable to show up fully in the presence of the person she is deceiving. The mechanism and the result are the same regardless of intent. Now here is where most men completely stop looking. They see the distance, they accept the explanation, and they consider the matter closed. But the third sign has been sitting in front of them the entire time. The appearance pivot. She starts putting in more effort. New clothes showing up that you have not seen before. A gym habit that appeared without announcement. A different fragrance. More time getting ready before heading out. And the instinct most decent men have in that moment is to feel good about it. She is taking care of herself. That is positive. I should not read anything into that. So they say nothing. They look away from the observation entirely. Here is the reframe. Self-improvement that is connected to the relationship is shared and directed outward toward you. She tells you about it. She involves you. She wants to know what you think. The energy moves in your direction. Self-improvement, connected to someone else, is quiet, self-contained. It does not invite your opinion because your opinion is not relevant to who it is for. I want you to apply a simple framework I call the audience test. Every deliberate change in appearance has an intended audience. All you have to do is ask the question, who is this for? If there is a clear answer that connects to your shared life, something you are both doing, somewhere you are both going, an occasion that involves you, it is almost certainly innocent. If you genuinely cannot identify a clear audience that includes you, that absence is worth noting. Here is the contrast. Innocent version. She walks in and says, she signed up for early morning classes. She has been feeling good. You should come with her sometime. She is energized about it, and she is pointing that energy at you. Flagged version. You notice the new items, the changed routine, the extra effort. You mention it casually. She gives you a short answer and steers the conversation somewhere else. She is not hiding the fact that something changed. She is simply not sharing it with you. Now the fourth sign is the one that genuinely catches men off guard, because from the outside, it looks exactly like a relationship improving. Overcorrection. Sudden, unexplained warmth. She brings home something you mentioned once in passing 3 weeks ago. She initiates affection. She has not initiated in months. She is attentive, present, thoughtful, in ways that feel new and slightly out of nowhere. And every part of you wants to receive this without question, because it feels good, because it is what you wanted, and because scrutinizing kindness feels ungrateful. But here is what I need you to understand about how guilt tends to express itself behaviorally. Consistent love is stable. It does not arrive in spikes. Guilt-driven affection is erratic. Bursts of warmth, followed by the same withdrawal you saw in sign 2, back and forth, like someone privately trying to balance a ledger they will never show you. Single moments of kindness mean nothing on their own. It is the pattern across time that tells you what you are looking at. Imagine yourself coming home one evening and the atmosphere is unmistakably warmer than it has been in a long time. Real attention, physical closeness that had gone absent, something made, something thought about, something prepared, and underneath the genuine gratitude, there is a question forming somewhere quiet. What shifted between us that caused this? You cannot point to a conversation. No resolution happened. Nothing changed that you are aware of. The warmth arrived without a cause you can name. That gap between the warmth you are receiving and the reason you cannot identify is the signal. What is happening internally for her is simpler than it looks. Doing something generous creates temporary relief. The weight of guilt eases slightly for a few hours. The internal ledger feels fractionally more balanced. It does not resolve anything real. It just quiets the internal noise long enough to get through the day. She is not being warm because she made a choice in your favor. She is being warm because she is managing how she feels about a choice she already made against you. Most men feel the warmth, feel relieved, and stop watching. That is exactly why the fifth sign goes undetected until it is far too late. The story that does not quite fit. Small inconsistencies. A detail about where she was that does not line up with something you already know. A name dropped in one conversation that disappears entirely from future ones. A timeline that has a gap you cannot account for. Each one individually is easy to dismiss. You do not want to be controlling. You do not want to be the suspicious partner, cataloguing her every word. So you let each one go. And in doing that, you hand the situation exactly the cover it needs. Here is what I need you to hear clearly. You are not paranoid for noticing. 1 inconsistency is noise. 2 is coincidence. 3 in the same week is a pattern. And a pattern is data. Data does not change based on how uncomfortable you feel examining it. The mistake that ends up costing men the most is confronting on a single detail, because on any one point, she has a ready explanation, and you end up looking like the unreasonable party. The wrong move. You say, you mentioned you were with your friend, but she texted me asking if you had plans tonight. She says, we changed plans last minute. I must have said the wrong name when I told you. You say, right, no, that makes sense. Sorry. Now you feel like the problem in the relationship. The right move. You notice the inconsistency. You say nothing. You watch the next 2 weeks without reacting. Either the pattern disappears, which tells you something, or it continues and gives you a clear answer that no confrontation could have produced cleanly. And underneath all the observation and the patience and the watching, there is something else happening that I want you to acknowledge honestly before we get to the sixth sign. The sixth sign is not something she does. It is something you already know, your gut. The persistent low-level awareness that something in the relationship has shifted, arriving before any evidence, surviving every rational argument you have made against it, still present on the mornings when you decide everything is probably fine. Most men suppress this signal harder than any other, because acting on a feeling without proof feels irrational. They tell themselves they are being insecure. They tell themselves they have no real evidence. They tell themselves a good partner does not operate on suspicion. And 3 months later, they find out the feeling was right the entire time. Here is the reframe. Instinct inside a long-term relationship is not paranoia. It is pattern recognition running below the level of conscious awareness. You have been with this person long enough to know what normal feels like between you. You know the specific texture of how things are when everything is fine. When that texture changes, and nothing in your circumstances explains it, that is information, not proof. Information. The wrong response. Something feels off, but I am probably just being insecure. She has not done anything I can actually point to. I need to stop this. He dismisses it completely. He decides not to look. Months later, he finds out what he already knew. The right response. Something feels different. I cannot name it precisely yet. I am going to stay calm, stay observant, and let the next few weeks show me what is real. He does not accuse. He does not ignore. He pays attention, with both eyes open. And the internal moment that matters most is not the confrontation. It is the quieter moment before it, when he finally stops arguing with himself and simply acknowledges what he has already been sensing for longer than he wanted to admit. Here is what connects all 6 of these signals. You were not the last to know because you were not paying attention. You were the last to know because nobody ever showed you what to look for before it became undeniable. These 6 signs are not a verdict. Not one of them alone proves anything. But when multiple signals appear together, building on each other over weeks, in a relationship that used to feel like something clearly different, that is not paranoia. That is a pattern asking to be acknowledged honestly. What you do once you have acknowledged it, how you approach what comes next, what you say, how you protect yourself, whether you turn out to be right or wrong. That is a completely separate question, and it is one I am going to answer in the next video, because that conversation is just as easy to get wrong as this one. Hit like if you're still thinking about it, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next.